Welcome to Sierra Nevada Outdoors. I'm your host, Rob Beamer, and boy, do we have a great show for you today. We wanted to show you some of the great destinations throughout northern Nevada to snowshoe, cross-country ski, fish, and just safely enjoy the winter season and the beauty it affords. I couldn't think of better guests to ask than my good friends and local Carson City longtime outdoor enthusiasts, Don and Elaine Quillisi. We were privileged to have Don and Elaine in the studio and ask them to share some of their most favorite Sierra Nevada winter destinations, along with give us some pointers on photographing the outdoors and highlighting some of the equipment that they use. They do a great job of capturing the beauty of the outdoors with very affordable and modestly valued equipment. So sit back, enjoy yourself, and welcome to Sierra Nevada Outdoors.
We were asked to join Rob on his show this evening, and he had specifically asked that perhaps we could talk about our adventures in the outdoors, and most specifically the photographs that we take when we're out there, because we have a ton of fun and we always make sure we have a ton of photographs. I will tell you for the record, neither Elaine or I have professional photography training. We are not professional photographers, but I think we've got an eye for what we want to shoot when we have our cameras out. We have strictly digital cameras, point and shoot. They're not fancy, but they do the job. I have mine, she has hers, and quite often we'll both be photographing the same subject matter. But we think it's important to tell folks that when you're out there taking pictures, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, be aware of what you're taking a picture of. Be aware of the background, be aware of shadows, be aware of where the sun is, be aware of any movement anywhere in that picture, and it will improve your photographs immensely. And we have found that out through our own experiences. As a matter of fact, for your information, when we were in Italy 4 years ago, we went to Italy on a 44-day vacation trip with my cousin and her husband. We traveled the entire length and width of Italy and the island of Sicily, and in those 44 days, we took, Elaine and I, between the two of us, took a total of 5,000 photographs. Not all of them good, some were spectacular. And if you'd like to see the 5,000, give us a call and we'll show them to you. But bring a sandwich when you do.
But when Don says, you know, just keep shooting, on our Italian trip, for instance, we were in Pisa, and I must have taken a shot of Don 59 times standing in front of the famous tower, because there were always other tourists in the way, or he didn't like the way it turned out. And but you know what? Digital film is cheap. So just go with the gusto, and more is better.
We had talked to Rob about doing this show, and I made the suggestion that what we might do is we might come in 4 times a year. We might come in winter, spring, summer, and fall and show some of the photographs of our activities in each of those seasons. And most specifically tonight, we're here to talk about winter and winter activities such as ice skating, ice fishing, snowmobiling, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and just being in the outdoors in the wintertime. There's a lot to do in this general area, and it can be fun, and you can do it at a very minimal cost.
Okay, so to show you, the camera that I use most often is just a PowerShot 280, and there really is nothing to it. You literally point and shoot. One of the things you really have to look out for, though, is just that your shadow is not in the way. Every once in a while I tend to take my own picture, and I really don't mean to do that. But it is an easy camera. I like the weight of it. I like the size of it. It will fit in my pocket. I don't have to carry a lot of extra lenses. You can adjust the settings if you want to, or just set it on auto shoot and point and shoot. You're ready to go. And the more pictures, the better. Don is my editor at home, and so he's the one that has to get rid of all the bad ones. I just take them and have fun.
This is my camera. This is a Pentax, and it has had quite an experience through the years with me as the photographer. And probably the most interesting experience was a few years back on a fishing trip at Lake Tahoe. A fishing partner of mine accidentally hit my camera and dumped it into the fish tank full of water. It survived, and it does take some great pictures. It is Elaine's favorite, and I'll show you why.
Well, actually, I will show you why. This was my camera first. It was the first digital I ever owned. Don bought it for my birthday. And on my first outing, I went to Alaska. And contrary to the newer point and shoots where the viewfinder is in the back, this one has this wonderful viewfinder that you can do a 360-degree turn. And so I have some great shots where I was able to get down on one knee and point the camera this way and shoot, and it's amazing what you can do. So it is my favorite, but after it took the bath, I gave it to Don and I upgraded to the Super Shot. But we still use this for flowers and for a lot of the macro shots. This one actually does a better job. It just, for some reason, it's a crisper picture. So either one, they're pretty inexpensive in today's world. You know, you can get a nice camera for $200 and shoot away, and you don't have to pay for the film. That's a great thing.
And here's a tip that has really helped us out through the years with all of our photographs. When we take those photos, we'll bring them back and we'll load them onto our computer. And when we do, we specifically earmark the folder for what we're taking pictures of. For example, if it's ice fishing in 2015, there will be a folder with the label Ice Fishing 2015, or it will be Fall Colors, October 2014, or it will be Fishing at Lake Tahoe, Summer 2013, and it makes it really easy to go back to those folders to find specific pictures, and then you can put together some sort of a story. Okay, what we'd like to do is start out this evening by talking to the folks about ice fishing. There's opportunity for ice fishing in this general area, and if you've never done it, it's a ton of fun. If you have done it, some of the photographs are going to ring a bell with you, and the pictures that we're going to start with are from a ice fishing trip taken in 2010 at Silver Lake, which is about 50 miles south of Carson City, over State Route 88 and over Carson Pass. 3 of us went there in 2010 to do some ice fishing, and we had some spectacular results, but we want to show you what you can encounter when you are out there on the ice. The first picture we're going to show you is of a manual ice auger. Now, if you cannot afford a gas-operated auger, this is what you need. It's a manual auger that we drilled into the ice, and you can see some of the scenes here. This particular photo is Donnie Q getting ready to dig a hole in the ice, and I want you to see how much that drill goes down into the snow and ice. That's about a 6-foot drill, and we finally punched through right there. We hit water after about 6 feet of ice, which says it's very safe to be out there on that ice. This is Jeff Nolan, and he's trying to scoop some ice out of his fish hole, because if you're not attentive, the water gets cold and it ices over in that hole. And then this is Scotty Matthews of Carson City, and as you can see, he's tied into a really nice fish out there in the middle of Silver Lake. And then when he pulled it up out of the water, we had an 8-pound, 14-ounce Mackinaw trout, and that is one heck of a nice fish, whether you catch it in the winter, spring, summer, or fall. Then this switches to Wild Horse Reservoir up in northern Elko County, and it shows how you can go out onto the ice with a sled carrying all of your supplies and gear and food. And there's 4 of us going out there. With this trip, we had a gas-operated auger, which made a big difference in drilling down through the ice. You use a scoop to scoop the ice out of your hole, and if you're not careful and you keep it up in the air too long, it'll freeze. If you don't scoop the ice out, then the water in your hole will freeze and on your line also. To be very comfortable, this is the way I fish. I have a 2-pole license, and I fish with my chair and a rug, and I'm comfortable out there in the middle of nowhere. In fact, if you get too comfortable, sometimes you can doze off and fall sound asleep. Sometimes what you catch isn't that big, but what the heck, you can always put it back down in the hole. This is a perch caught at Wild Horse Reservoir.
As you can tell, Donna's the one that really enjoys the ice fishing more than I do. I am much more a summer person, but a lot of women go out and they have a great time. It's a great experience just to be out in the outdoors.
But there's a word of caution that goes with ice fishing, and let me pass it on to you. The book says that if you're going to go out onto the ice, 1 inch of ice, stay off, stay off, stay off. Believe me, you won't find me out there. 2 to 3 inches of ice will support 1 adult. You still won't find me out there. 4 inches of ice is considered safe enough for ice fishing. 5 inches is needed for snowmobiling. 8 inches is needed to support a car or a light truck. 10 inches is needed to support a medium-sized truck. From my perspective, you will never find me out on the ice if there's less than 6 inches of thickness. I'm not that crazy, and I want to show you some pictures of ice fishermen that we have acquired just most recently, and it's a way to tell you how to be careful out there. The first picture you see is a group of ice fishermen at Davis Lake, which is north of Portola, California, and if you will look behind them, you can see water off in the distance. I think they're crazy to be out on that ice, but that's them. In the next picture, this is the way to be comfortable when you're out there fishing. Take a tent out there, get out of that bitter cold wind, and it will be a much more enjoyable fishing experience. If you really like fishing, you can take your float tube into the water, and like this gentleman did, he was also at Davis Lake. He was fishing between the shore and the edge of the ice, and he had to be cold in that float tube. Here's an ice fisherman, ice fisher woman, to be correct, who in my opinion is digging a hole way too close to thin ice right in the background. I think she's crazy to be out there, but that's her choice. And then also, here's three people who are out walking on the ice. And again, if you look out past them, I don't think they have any business being there.
They're actually surrounded by open water on both one side and behind them. And if those two come together, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we have this example of a couple people fishing. Again, I think the ice is a bit too thin for me, but they're out there enjoying themselves. Here you have ice fishermen at Davis Lake, and look in the background. You can see blue water out there. That ice cannot be that thick, and you'll never find me out there. Then we switch to ice skaters, and here's 2 ice skaters on thin ice last weekend on the Feather River near Portola. And in the next picture, you'll see this guy has come all the way across the river. Now, one of the problems, if you're ice fishing on a river and you break through the ice, there's a current underneath, and it's going to take you under the ice, and you're a goner then, because you're not going to make it back out of there. So be careful if you're going out ice fishing, and be aware of the thickness of the ice. I can't stress that enough. Have fun, but be careful, be careful, be careful.
Well, I think people get excited. It was kind of like a storybook when we saw the ice skaters, and there was another group, we weren't able to get their picture. There were about 6 trucks, and there were some little kids, and that's where it's really dangerous, because the kids, they're not paying attention, they're just having fun. And any of our outdoor activities, we want to have fun, but we want to come home safe. So keep that in mind when you go out.
Now, the next winter activity we want to talk to you about is snowshoeing, And snowshoeing can be a lot of fun. It's good exercise. And the best thing about snowshoeing is you don't have to pay to use a ski resort. You just go out into the boonies and do your thing wherever you want to do it. In 2000 and I think it was 12, Elaine and I went up to the Ebbets Pass Road that was closed to vehicle traffic, put on our snowshoes and went snowshoeing on State Route 4 going toward Ebbets Pass. That road is closed during the winter, but it makes for great, I can't stress that enough, snowshoeing, and most particularly for those folks who have snowmobiles. You'll see the snowmobile tracks here?
It almost looks like the road has been plowed. There have been so many vehicles going through there, and as a matter of fact, a couple of them passed us while we were out there. It was kind
a lot of snowmobiles, but you watch out for them and they watch out for you on State Route 4, Ebbets Pass Highway. The next photograph is Donnie Q standing at the edge of State Route 4, and down below me in that small canyon is Silver Creek, which is a good fishing spot in the summertime, but don't do it in the wintertime. There's Elaine standing at the edge of the highway with Silver Creek in the background.
And you see my camera is strapped over me, you never know when you might need it.
And then looking straight down into that small canyon, there's Silver Creek, a little bit of open water showing, lots of icicles.
The beauty of this picture, if I can interrupt just a moment, if you are looking at the scenery, it almost looks like teeth that are hanging down the icicles on that rock. So you can get some great formation pictures, not just people. If you just watch it, there's nothing like seeing a couple icicles and maybe a hawk in the tree. So there's a lot of opportunity for some great photos in the outdoors.
And then the last photo in the snowshoe segment, it's starting to get cold late in the afternoon, and that's Donnie Q heading back to the vehicle to go back to Carson City. The next group of photographs we'd like to show you are of the Carson Pass south of Carson City on State Route 88, and the first picture is the West Carson River in Hope Valley, taken in the wintertime as we're on our way up to the pass. These photos were taken in 2011, and we just want you to see what can happen when you have a big winter, which is what we desperately need right now. The next photograph is aptly named Elephant Back Mountain, which is very close to Kit Carson Pass. Again, these pictures were taken in winter of 2011. And then here, you're almost at the top of the pass, showing you some of the deep snow and where it's been plowed out by the snow plows. And as usual, they're working hard up there to try and keep that road open. And you can get an idea of how much snow there is by the size of the plow and the small vehicle directly behind it. More impressively, take a look at this. This is the U.S. Forest Service building located right at the top of Kit Carson Pass, almost completely buried. And in the next photograph, I'm 6 foot tall, and you can get an idea of how much snow is in that area. I estimated that snow to be 25 feet deep, and I think I was pretty close to it. And then finally, whatever you do when you're out traveling in the wintertime, remember to carry chains, carry chains, carry chains. Please do that.
You need to be prepared. But that one picture where Don was standing between the two vehicles, another good thing that we try to do is to use something for depth perception when you're taking a picture. We've got one where we go down to the Palm Springs area every February for a couple weeks. And of course, all of the grapefruit and lemons are available at that time. And he's got a picture of this huge lemon in his hand, and his hand is dwarfed by it. Well, if you just have a lemon sitting on the table, you don't see the difference. And that's kind of how the depth of that snow was. When we had Don, who's 6 foot tall, between the two vehicles, and the banks are way behind him, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay, the next series of photographs we'd like to show you were taken in 2010 at one of our favorite places to get away and hide at for a while. This is the road going to Convict Lake in 2010. Convict Lake is located between the Mammoth ski area and Bishop. And it's the best way of telling you how to get there is take the paved road to Convict Lake right across from the Mammoth Airport. This is Convict Lake frozen in the wintertime. Obviously there's no fishing, but it's a great place to get away and relax and enjoy the outdoors. That's the Convict Lake store, and whatever you may need, they have it in there. Also, as an adjunct to the store, there's a fabulous restaurant called the Restaurant at Convict Lake, and it features 5-star food. And at one time, not now, but at one time, its waiters would serve you while wearing tuxedos.
The food is fabulous, and obviously they're catering to the crowd from Mammoth, but they're open for, I don't know about breakfast, but I know they're open for lunch and dinner. And it's a fabulous getaway in the dead of winter.
And if you need a shower,
good luck.
You better be braver than me, because that's the shower room. And the cabin that we stayed in, that's the one we stayed in, called the Bristlecone, had all the amenities that you need, including a shower. So we were in good shape, but it was in the wintertime, and not much traffic on this road at the resort, as you can tell. If you like to barbecue, you may have to dig it out like we did so you could barbecue your steaks for dinner. And then here's the three of our foursome. Elaine took the picture, but there's myself on the right, my son Jim, daughter-in-law Kathy, just goofing off waiting for lunch. And then this is little cabin number 15, which sleeps 2-person, and that's the one that we stay in the summertime. Yeah. Convict Lake, a great place for a winter getaway. Then our last group of pictures are some miscellaneous shots that we took here, there, and everywhere, but we thought we'd like to share them with you. This is a picture of a doe deer right inside Carson City. It was taken in 2012, and it's over on the west side. And if you've ever done any riding around on the west side, you know there's a lot of deer over there. This deer was out in a snowstorm.
Some people may even recognize it because we even used that photo. We made a Christmas card out of it.
We did.
So you use your imagination. You can do all kinds of things that don't really cost a lot of money and have fun.
Now, in 2009, here's another picture of Carson City. This is looking across the street from our home on Nevada Street, and the snow was deep, 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 as you'll see in the next photograph. And there's the snow shoveler out working, and look at the tip of the fence sticking out of the snow behind Elaine. That's a 4-foot wooden fence, just barely sticking out of the snow. But if you go out and you travel around in the wintertime, you can also see some other interesting sights. Check this out. This is 4 wild turkeys on the road going to Davis Lake on New Year's Eve, 2013. Wild turkeys on New Year's Eve.
And that's one of those photos that we were not planning on taking pictures. I had the camera. We were actually on our way to the cabin that we own up in the Davis Lake area. And as we turned the corner, I'm yelling, "Turkeys!" And everybody thought I had lost it, but there's proof they were there.
Then our last photo is rather spectacular. You're looking at the snow-covered Virginia Lakes Resort in 2006. The Virginia Lakes Resort is located about 6 miles west of the top of Conway Summit between Bridgeport and Levining. It gets a tremendous amount of snowfall up there. What you see sticking up out of the snow is actually a little bit of the main lodge at Virginia Lakes Resort. So let's all hope that we have a winter like that this year. I'd like to close by saying we've had fun being here tonight. We've showed you some pictures of ice fishermen, ice skaters, snowshoeing, some of the places like Convict Lake that you might want to go to in the winter, Virginia Lakes Resort, actually in the summer, not in the winter.
It is fun in the winter.
It is fun, and you will see wildlife out there if you're careful and you're looking. The wild turkeys, the deer. But if you do go out into the boonies in the wintertime, be prepared, but be prepared and have fun. That's the important thing.
Exactly.
And when you do go, take a camera, take a camera, take a camera. take pictures, take pictures, take pictures.
And there's something for everybody. I am not a skier. Don used to do a lot of downhill skiing, cross-country skiing, which I don't do, but he introduced me to snowshoeing. And as long as you remember to walk with your feet apart, you're going to do fine. But it is so much fun, and you don't need a trail. You can just go out along the side of a road that has been closed, and you never know what you'll see. It might be a deer running across, it could be a frozen stream. You just have to make the most of our opportunities, because where we live, we certainly have an abundance.
And the pictures you saw tonight were all taken with our point and shoot cameras. They're not expensive professional cameras. We're not professionals. We have fun. But I think the important thing to tell you is take a picture and you will enjoy it later.
Exactly.
I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Again, special thanks to Don and Elaine Quilisi for sharing some of their most valued outdoor experiences and for helping us understand that you don't have to spend a ton of money to have or have formal training to capture wonderful memories while enjoying the outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the outdoors.